Okay, so I made a mark before I unhooked it from the clamp, and sure enough, it had moved 1/8 of an inch or so. And we had been tightening the piss out of these. That last one, I tightened them tight, but I didn't bear down on them, and that was a mistake. It did slip. So now I know. Also, there could be a tiny bit of oil under here. I cleaned it, but I didn't exhaustively clean it. So if it moves again, we'll take it apart and I will acetone. I've got acetone I keep in a little bottle, and we will acetone and clean everything if that slips again. But we're showing 0.07, so we're real close, and we're going to try this again. So we're going to keep going. It does look like it slipped a little, not much. That's crazy. So we're going to 72.5. We're not there yet. I just captured this. $72.5. All zeros. You can see we moved a tiny bit, but then it quit slipping. That's crazy. I bared down on that and it still moved a teeny little bit. There's our hoop. Let me back up so you can kind of see that. There she is. Okay, so we had an unexpected thing. When we got ready to, see how this is laid all weird? So for the last bend, I need to roll it over here. And guess what the tube runs into? So, as beautiful as this is, we got to take this apart and get it off this table, because I don't want to move this setup. So we're going to move this. So I got to get this off of here, and we'll set up for our last bend. One thing I'm trying to make sure I don't do is mess with that. I'm going to try to leave that clamped the whole time. That way we know it's, you know, accurate. We didn't move it. Anyway, move this and we'll set up again. Okay, so we're set up on the last one. There's our mark. We're dead on 90 degrees. We're zeroed out on our indicator, and I'm actually standing inside the hoop to film that. So backing up, here's what she looks like. And of course, when we do the last bend, this piece is going to roll up like that. This side here will roll down flat, and then this thing will line up with the one poking out of the back of the bender. The one thing I can see that we're going to run into, I got to take this off for the last bend, because we're going to pull that tubing this way, and eventually it's going to run into the frame. So I'm going to double check all this one more time, and then pop that thing off and do our last bend. Our last bend is 23.4, basically 23.5. We got to add 2.5 to that, so whatever that is, 26. So do 26, and that'll be it for this. Then we get to see how it looks. Well, here she is. Holy crap, we did it. Well, I don't know if it's going to work, but we made one. It seems to be, like when I step on this, I mean, it seems to be flat over there and looks right. Don't know if it's going to work. That part's to be seen. Yeah, you can see they both kick up. I don't know, looks right. About to throw it in the car, see what happens. Well, it's going to be too long. We got to trim it and stuff, but let's just see. Okay, so this has been our rework project. We still got a couple things to do, but basically we realized these bends were not, these 70s turned out to be about 68. Funny enough, this first bend, 23.4, nailed it. One of them measured 23.4 and one of them measured like 23.3. The others, these are 20s, bang on, got 20.0 and something like 0.1 off. And then when we got to these, they both measured around 68, and one of them was 67.9, so basically 2 degrees short. And luckily we were able to put it back in here and bend it the rest of the way. But man, what a pain. This is way slower and crappier to redo. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's slow. You don't want to mess up, and it's hard. But we got this one. It's supposed to be 70. It's like 69.9 or something, and this one's supposed to be 70. And we're at our, yeah, so basically ignore the 20 added to that. So now it's like 70.38. So we overshot this one by 0.38, and we undershot that one by about 0.1. So very close, approximately a quarter of a degree from being parallel. So real close. We overshot this last one because we're just in a hurry, man. Like, see all these numbers? Like, you bend it and then you try this and try this and try this and this and this and this and this. And so basically when I got over here, I just started doing like 2-degree jumps. Like over here, you'll see a 1.5, but most of these were like 1-degree numbers. So over here, we just started jumping bigger increments because I was losing my patience. So anyway, good news. I think those 2 bends are close now. So we're going to pop it back out. We still got to, we actually marked this. I've got to cut these angles. Just going to do that with a grinder. I marked it with a wrap tape and did a Sharpie. We're going to cut those. We're going to leave a little. So this is actually where it should be. I'm going to add like a 1/4 inch to this or something. I'm going to add a little bit and then cut it, just on the chance that I can get the bar a little higher. But I have mixed thoughts on that. So where it's marked is where it's supposed to be. If we do that, when we put it in the car, well, I took the template down, but when we put it in the car, you'll have if I light up, it'll be close to the roof, but it won't be touching. And that could be a benefit because we probably want to put padding on it. So if it is right up against the roof, I guess we'll have to like trim the padding or something. That might be an issue. So we'll see. I did want it kind of close though. But yeah, we're gonna probably leave a 1/4 inch on those, cut them, and then try again, see how that looks. Check this out. Dun, 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 dun. We sort of have a main hoop. I'll show you a view through the windshield. Wish I had better lighting in here, sorry about that. But it's pretty tight. So we got it, we're gonna have to adjust this a little bit, but you can see that is super close to that wall, but I think I'll figure out a way to weld that. We come up, as you can see, we have a lot of clearance between the hard top. Give you a nice zoom in so you can understand just how much, like I said, you could probably get 2 sheets of paper there. Moving up, we're actually laying on the hard top right now. It's basically touching. And then let's go to the other side. We are touching up here. If we come down to the hard top, we're touching, but remember we still got 2 sheets of paper over there, so we got some room. And then we come back down here and we got a tiny amount of room. And one thing you'll note, that angle looks a little off. That's kind of on purpose. So I left a 1/4 inch on the bottom of this tube. It's a 1/4 inch longer than I designed it to be. So basically, if we were to summarize all the problems we have now, that angle is slightly off and we are touching at the top up here. And I believe both of those problems will be solved when I cut the last 1/4 inch off of this. Let's see, I don't know if a mark will be available. Can't see the video I'm recording, but ignore all these orange lines. But essentially I'm gonna cut, I put a file mark in metal so it wouldn't rub away. But we're going to go ahead and cut that last 1/4 inch off, possibly a little more, because we do need to have a tiny bit of clearance between this and the hard top. But yeah, looking good. We can see that bar. A friend of mine was asking, why did I have this bend here? And now you can kind of see why, because it gets the tube further behind the car by doing it that way. So, man, I kind of like it. It turned out okay. Let's have a look from the back, see what that looks like. All these lights and reflections, but it's pretty tucked in there. Can't Well, you can see that, but you can't see up here. I got it high enough that it doesn't really... Oh, it's kind of dusty and dirty. But anyway, you can barely see it. It's kind of hidden. You can see it on the sides, though. So, yeah, going okay. Looks like all the measurements we did were actually correct. That's a miracle. I'm just going to call that luck. This is the first thing I've really bent. The only other thing I did was that nanny right there. And then boom, a 3D bend. We kind of, looks like we're close. So yeah, we're going to trim those feet another 1/4 inch. Kind of looks like we're going to need to trim more than that. Maybe we did over measure something wrong, I don't know. But we'll trim those a 1/4 inch, test fit again, and go from there. But if it goes correctly when I trim that 1/4 inch, essentially the bar should drop a 1/4 inch, but I think they're going to slide backwards a little more too, so that's going to push it up some. But in the net will be that the bottom will move to the right, maybe, I don't know, probably a 1/2 inch or so. Can't remember. Maybe a little more than that, maybe 1 inch at the most. And then it's still going to drop some. So when we get done, when that's concluded, that should fit nicely. It should parallel that shelf perfectly, and we should have about 1/8 of an inch gap at the top of that bend. That's how we designed it. And then it's going to be basically bumping up against these, and I did that because I knew I could just grind this if I need to get a little bit of clearance. It's not the end of the world. So, and I got a feeling, well, I know I'm going to change this hardtop at one point, and I doubt the aftermarket ones even have that, and if they do, I'd cut it out. So that's kind of why. But yeah, good stuff. Making progress. Actually we got the main hoop coming together. Look at that. Okay, so now we're set up on our 5th bend. So this is going to be 20 degrees plus spring back, so 22.5. We're at 0.12, real close. This one's kind of a pain to adjust, but we got it close. And then here, that's our mark. Barely see it, but we'll keep a close eye on that. We got that sucker real tight. So, oh, we still got a 0. Yeah, let me get this zeroed. Okay, she's zeroed. Still at 0.12. This will be bend number 5. So we're going 20 degrees plus spring back, 22.5. It's hard to see. I was going to try to show you guys what we're about to bend. See that little bit with the orange? Yeah, right there. That's what we're about to bend. Then we got one more right there, and that's it. Zeroed. All right, here we go. So far we're not slipping. One thing I noticed is that handle is going to run into that eventually. So we got to keep an eye on that. It's hitting like a resonant frequency. Interesting. Two and a half. 0.18. Release this. Now take this out, set up for the next one.